Today's guest is Mark Lewis from Communique, LLC. As a recent bestseller author of Give a Damn, his dream is to help businesses and individuals become more aware of the words and actions that lead to their success or lack thereof. He is currently a business coach and entrepreneur that helps individuals and companies understand how a change in culture and attitude can lead to happiness, success, and longer life. Please give a warm welcome to Ever Blessed, Mark Lewis.
Well,
thank you. Welcome, Mark.
Well, thanks.
How are you?
Good. You got my book. I saw that you put a little picture. I saw that you did that.
Yeah, I do.
That's
I
awesome.
Let's see if we can see it right there.
It's kind of hard. Put it up. There we go. Yeah, put it on up against your body, and I can see it. Then.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah, I can see that. Cool. You had a chance to. Well, if you get a chance, if you ever want to go on Amazon and do a review, I'd love that. So.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I was poking around it off and on, and I had some stuff that I highlighted in here.
Oh,
too,
cool.
So.
Okay, good. Well, appreciate it.
It's on the subject of your book. Well, and that was one of the things I wanted to jump into, because when I was reading into your book, as well as going through your previous speaking engagements on the podcast that you had with Newell, I think that was the
Newell
gentleman's
Norman.
name.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've always had an issue with is, coming from a different perspective as a person of color. When I was in Wisconsin, it was just like reverse thinking in the workplace. Like, I have dual bachelor's degree in accounting and business administration. I had an associate's in medical laboratory technology, 15 years of experience in accounting. And I literally had to demote myself on my resume to only show one of my degrees because I was considered overqualified.
Oh.
In the same job that I would have applied 6 months prior to me graduating from college, I was considered underqualified before graduation, but 6 months after, I was overqualified. And that was one of the things I had, like this constant glass ceiling scenario that it was consistent in it. And I was unemployed for almost 3 years with a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
It was insane. Like the types of, like I said, I think it was called toxic environment in the culture, in the business place. And that was one of the things that I completely wanted to escape from once I came to Texas. I was thinking, I'll give it another try. I'll go and continue on with my accounting background. Come to find out, they give you all the good money, but I was driving 3 hours a day to get to work.
That's awful.
And yeah. So, I mean, I live 50 miles from Dallas, which is like the main big city of Texas.
Sure.
And it was an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, and it was just too stressful for me. And I said, you know what, enough is enough. And I think about 2 years ago, I decided to just say, you know what, I'm going to retire early and just start taking on very remote jobs. And ironically, the pandemic hit in 2020, but in 2019, I said, you know what, that's it. And so I kind of felt like I was before the curve of something great was going to happen for me. And ironically also, I decided to take up doing voiceover acting. So that was one of the things I just started doing as remotely. Yeah. And then I was also, some other jobs. So now I'm actually a comptroller for it just kind of fell in my lap. I'm a comptroller for a startup company, a digital analytics, artificial intelligence company here established in Ohio. And he originally hired me as a voiceover artist for his commercials for his business. And he said, you know what, I looked at your background on LinkedIn and you have this. Wow, we're looking for someone like you. I came out of retirement.
That's awesome. It's really awesome. It's funny because I got involved with an artificial intelligence as a startup. A guy came to me about a year and a half ago because of my technology background. He has this great idea. And the idea is really creating lasting memories. When you go to a wedding or you go to a birthday party, everybody's taking these videos and the videos stay with their phone. So this guy came, he says his dad was in the video back in Motown days. Mm-hmm. And he said, we're going to create a platform where you can upload the videos, and the videos are coming from all different angles. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a single video by cutting and splicing those and getting the best of the multiple videos to create a single video by cutting and splicing, and then use artificial intelligence and that kind of thing. So I came out of, I would say, another, I've been involved in a bunch of startups, but I came out thinking I was going to, I'm 64 years old, so I'm going to retire, right, in 3 or 4 years. But this guy came up and said, I love this idea. So he made me a co-founder, and we raised almost, $250,000. And we're implementing this program, and we have what we call our minimal viable product coming out, and we're testing it next week with a bunch of users, and then we'll come out with this product hopefully by the end of the year. So
nice.
Here I am, 64 years old, and I'm involved with another startup. But I like this kind of stuff. It's cool. I'd like to help people. And when you think about creating a lasting memory for people for multiple videos, and they're coming from all different people, and now you can create your own video automatically the system does it for you automatically. You say, well, my eyes are closed here, then you can replace it with another video. So we're in the very early stages of implementing the program, but it's kind of cool, right? It's trying to edit videos, and you're probably familiar with this. It's very difficult and painful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm doing that throughout my whole time of being a podcaster.
Right.
Like all the things that I've never understood and never learned, I'm learning as I go along. And you probably seen, like, if you ever gone through my YouTube sneak peek videos of my guests, it seems to be getting into some improvement gradually, but it was like literally like a self-learned scenario.
Right. Exactly. Well, you always, when you first do something, it's always not the best, but that's part of life. You gain a lot more experience, you get better at it the more you learn. And that's what I've learned at my age. You learn a lot from doing, and then you learn a lot from other people. So that's one of the things that I've been blessed with, that especially for my dad, he's been my mentor pretty much all my life. And you learn and you take the best of what other people are doing and you implement it, and the people think you're like great. It's not, it's nothing to do with me. It's what I've learned from other people that helps increase my level of success.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I will probably get into in depth on your book and some of the questions.
Fine.
Coming from a person of color perspective.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable with that?
I feel comfortable. Look, everybody, it's not about color. It's not about anything. It's really about attitude, how you work together, how you collaborate. When people it doesn't matter any of that stuff. That just drives me crazy sometimes when I think about that. But, I'm fine with anything. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure because,
sure.
There's some raw questions that I have, and I don't want you to take it.
I won't be offended by anything.
Out of it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
It's funny because what you asked me, there was a question on here that you asked me, which historical figure would you like to be? My answer was Nelson Mandela.
Oh, yeah.
And only because he was such a consummate individual, he fought for what he believed in. He did all the right things. Of course, I talk about him in my book a little bit. And that guy went through so much and helped so many people. And, that's kind of what I want to be like him in life, and helping people get better, do better, everything we can to improve people's lives. And that's the basis behind my book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why I wanted to make sure that the listeners are understanding exactly what book I'm talking about, or we're discussing about, is your fairly new one, or it's been out and about for a while. And it actually is like one of the top in Amazon. So top sellers, and called Give a Damn. I love this. So what was the reason behind it? What inspired you to create this book? I've read a couple of your pages, and I'm enjoying it as time goes by. But for the listeners who are not familiar or aware of this book, can you kind of give them a cliff note exactly as a reason why you started this book and what created this?
Jasmine, if you told me 10 years ago I was going to write a book, I would have said, you're absolutely crazy. I'm not a writer. I didn't really like English in school. And I just was I'm a business guy. I want to help people grow their business. But what I saw in society started irritating me. And I saw these things people were doing that I said, why are you doing that? Why don't you do this? How come you're doing that? And so I got a little dictaphone recorder, and every time I saw something, I'd speak into it. I'd get up in the middle of the night. I'd say, this idea came to me. I'd speak into it, and then I transcribe it onto paper. And so I started getting all this data, and I said, well, I'm going to write a book. I know what I need to do. I got it all outlined, and I'll write a book. So I wrote the first version of that book probably in 2016. It took me 5 years to do it because I'd go away and go to a library and start and write a chapter and spend a whole day there. And then I got so busy in work that it took me 3 or 4 months. I kept doing that over and over and over again. And I finally said, I'm going to get this done. And here's where my luck came in. I hire interns on a yearly basis to come in and help them with business. And this one lady came in, and I didn't really want to hire her because she looked like she didn't look very well, and she was very non-social, very quiet, but I felt sorry for her. So I said, yeah, come on, work for me. And so she was very quiet, did really good work. And then all of a sudden I mentioned, yeah, I got this book I'm writing. And then she lit up like a Christmas tree. I go, what? She goes, I love editing books and screenplays. I said, I've got a project for you. And therefore, 6 months later, I had my book. So I thought it was pretty good, but then I realized there was something missing. And so I eventually rewrote the book through an editor and a journalist who came in and really did a lot of research. But I wrote the book because I didn't like the way our culture was going and how people were so self-centered and selfish. And I said, this has got to change. What's causing all this? And then I have got 9 factors in the book that actually talk about what the factors are that's led us down this path, which I think we need to change. And that's the reason for the book writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was looking into your book, and I mean, it's perfectly laid out, and it just feels like that manual that a lot of people should have had before they got into all those situations in regards to the workplace or in the school system, like the education that we have, starting the giving a damn, it starts at home, some of the things that you've identified in your chapters, specifically in our community and the government, and some of the responsibilities that we need to change within ourselves. I love how you lay this out in the subsections underneath each. And one of the things that I wanted to get more into it, but later, after I give you these other additional questions that I wanted to get
Sure.
to know you more and let the listeners know a little bit more. Who is Mark Lewis? So
you want me to answer that question?
Yeah, inquiring minds need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been blessed. I was brought up in a fairly good background. My dad pushed me hard. I played sports in high school. I'm originally from Rochester. I went to Boston College. I would have never got into Boston College, but someone actually helped me get in, and I did really well there. And then I came down to New Orleans, got my MBA at Tulane, and then I was really benefited by working for IBM for 13 years. IBM taught me about quality, taught me about standards, how to do all the right things. There's a situation that really I think is paramount to me and who I am as a person. There's one guy wanted to order an IBM computer, and I wanted to sell it to him. I was in new accounts, and IBM had some problems with this new equipment called an AS400. It just didn't have enough memory in it. And so the guy wanted to order the equipment. I said, look, Mike, I said, I think you need to wait till this machine gets a bit more processing. If I get this to you now, you're going to be, I don't think you're going to be happy. So he was shocked because I had a quota to meet. And I said, look, I know it's best for you, but let's wait. And so we waited, and IBM came out and knew me. I said, now, Mike, I think it's going to be good for you. And so he ordered the machine. It was, I didn't, I had a quota to meet, and that would have been a great thing for me because there was bonuses. But I knew in the back of my mind that the right thing was not for him to order the equipment until we had something fixed. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about people today is, what the right thing is, but most people do the wrong thing because they can justify it in their mind as being right. And that's where it gets wrong. Now, think about that. don't, just because you have something, you justify in your mind for doing the wrong thing. It's just not the right thing to do. So that's me as a person. I want to help people succeed. I want to help them do all the right things, because when you do the right things over time, you actually you have a happier life, and karma comes around. I fully believe in karma, doing the right things and suffering the consequences if you did something wrong is another important aspect of life in general. So me as a person, I wrote the book because I want to change people's lives for the better, and that book's going to do it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought out that that karma comes around. And one of the things that I have struggled personally, and I've heard also other persons in my community have struggled with doing the right thing, not doing drugs, not smoking, no alcohol, no anything that would consider to be pointed towards them as a criminal or a thug, or whichever the case may be, where they want to identify a person because of their race or color of the community that they are. So I've done all that. And I've had instances where, people are picked out of a crowd because of what they look like. And so the thought of, karma coming around, we do the best that we can to have that not happen, no matter, even if there is some type of karma toward, something towards us, to some animosity towards a person of color. That karma doesn't come back. Unfortunately, it seems like it takes sides in a sense. So how do you address that when, even though we want to do good, we want other people to, see people, like you said, color should not be an issue. We should not be having to have this conversation in the first place. I completely agree, because that is something I have constantly, like till I'm blue in the face, explained to people. That should not matter on the stature or the character of the, of who I am, my education, my background, how I'm a hard worker, how I'm dedicated in making, my life and my future and the people around me that I love to be better. But that's everything else is against that whole idea. So have you ever dealt with or had collaborated with other people when you created this book, or in the process of creating this other, I think you have another book that you said that you're mentioning that you would be, have you collaborated with any of the persons who might have had a perspective or another point of view?
I think what happens, Jasmine, is everybody, when they meet someone, they form an opinion about them, and they form that opinion about how they dress, how they look, how they walk, how they speak, how their nonverbal communication is. So we form opinion about that. And those opinions can be right and they can be wrong. The problem, I think, with today is that we need to give everybody what I call a purpose in life. And that purpose is designed to bring out the best of what that person can do and the quality that they bring to the table. So I have a perfect example of about a guy. He actually wrote the opening foreword to my book. His name is Steve Gleason. He was a famous New Orleans football player. He played for the Saints. He blocked the punt when the Katrina happened. I mean, he brought a lot to the table. He was just a consummate individual. He did great things. And then he got ALS. And so here's a guy that got ALS, and he's deteriorated, obviously, from his head. I mean, his mind is in perfect shape. And what happened was this. He says, look, I've suffered a lot, and but I don't use that as something that I should be really upset about. I use it as God gave me a purpose in life, and my purpose in life when I got ALS is to help other people who have ALS through technology. And so he says he's not inhibited by his wheelchair. He's actually liberated by it, because now it gives him a sense. And he had the values of bringing of coming up. So my point on this is we have to find a way. And there are people that have been in this environment with drugs and all that. How do we bring those people out to show them that there's a purpose in life? How do we show them that if you give a darn or give a damn about other people, it's going to come back to you. It's going to make you happier, because there's statistics in the book. when you do these things, when you go volunteer, when you help other people, it brings a sense of satisfaction to you that makes you feel better. And the more you do that, the better your life's going to become. And you hear about all these people have gone through these terrible things, the drug addicts, and they've come out and they've done some horrible things, and they found God, or they found a purpose in life. When you find that purpose in life, everything changes. And that's what we have to do. Mm-hmm. And we also have to get people to change their attitude that mm-hmm. this is the right thing to do. And that attitude change is very difficult, because when you're brought up in an environment where the attitude is not always conducive to it creates a behavior that sometimes you can't get out of it. We got to change that mindset. The give a damn mentality is the mindset that I think is going to be important to change in society overall.
Yeah, completely agree. Because I was in situations where I did volunteer, and I felt so overly satisfied in helping someone else. This generation that we have today, it's the me, myself, and I don't give a damn, but we do need to give a damn.
Sure.
And it's just kind of bleeding all over social media and society and everything in our workplace. And it's just like, how do we nip that in the bud? Well, how would we take the initiative of ceasing that from creating such a toxic society and environment?
Well, Jasmine, I think where it starts is at the home. You bring up a really good point, because the question I ask people, and a lot of people don't know the answer to this, is there's a couple questions. One is, why are you here? 99 out of 100 people can't answer this question. Why were you born? Why did God create you? Why are you here? And 99 out of 100 people can't answer that question. And so my answer to that question is, God created me. Or if you don't believe in God, why are you here? I'm here for the purpose, for one really purpose. The purpose is I'm here to help serve others. And by serving others, I serve myself. But people get it reversed. They got to figure, I got to do something, then I'm going to get something in return. You can't have that expectation, because it will come back to you. Right. The more you do for other people, it'll come back to you. Now, there's some people that you could just walk all over you, and you just have to avoid those people. But where do we start? How do we get people to change their mindset? Because you and I both have habits that we've developed over the years. How do we change those habits? Well, I was lucky enough to change the habit. I was never that bad, but I was lucky enough to be able to do this to help change people's habits. But the way you start this is you teach it at a very early age. That early age is at kindergarten, where you teach them about morals, responsibility, respect. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you, ma'am. All these things which you're not getting, that we used to get more 40 or 50 years ago, because we had the parents at home. Now the parents are working. You got these video games that are teaching really bad things, shoot 'em up. All those bad things we have to teach kids at a very early age. And we got to teach it like we teach every year English and math and social studies. They're not doing it. My wife's a teacher. She says, yeah, we're doing it. I said, well, it's not getting through. Can't we have a course that says, this is where we're going to teach like physical education. This is what we're going to teach this year for kindergarten. First grade, we're going to teach responsibility. Do a standard course every year that teaches these ethics and responsibility and morals. I don't see that. It's not in school. I didn't have it when I was growing up.
Right. Yeah. And one of the things they used to have was economics and financial management in my school. And that's completely eliminated. Right. And a lot of people who are coming out of high school or going right into college, one of the worst things to even do is credit cards. And they're never taught how to deal with their finance management. They're not understanding how to cook for themselves, where economics came into play. Sewing, doing the proper cooking, taking care of yourself. That's eliminated from the school as education. So, there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
We've been so polarized by the government. It's like heads I win, tails you lose. There's no middle ground. It's like, I got to beat you in every way, shape possible. Mm-hmm. And that's just a bad mentality. And government breeds that mentality.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that one of the things that they're with the educational system is in Texas specifically, they're trying to ban the education of systemic racism in the education system, like identifying the actual history about different cultures in Texas, indigenous people, African American, the Latina community, they're trying to eliminate that other history educated in the systems too, which is another breakdown in our system. How are we ever going to respect each other, by, not providing the proper understanding and respect and culture to the educational system for our kids? So, I mean, there's a lot that needs to be done. I'm glad that we're able to talk about it, especially you talk specifically about that, giving a damn in the school system in our community. So one of the things I think we pretty much hit on that. I believe it's probably your pet peeve. So what is your pet peeve?
Well, I guess there's, I do an interviews technique, and I ask this question: what are your pet peeves, or what words do you hate to hear? And I go, that's not my job. When I hear that, I immediately want to fire somebody, because they're not there to work as a team and work together. I get really upset when people are really. I have a lot of pet peeves, but I try to step back and just, that's the way some people are, and you just got to move on. But my pet peeve is just people not taking responsibility and saying that, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'll do what I need to do to fix it. They're always making excuses for what happened. It drives me crazy, because just live up to what you did, fix it, and you're going to be a better person that way. So the justification for anything that ever goes wrong for any reason, oh, it wasn't my fault, I didn't do this, take responsibility, admit when you're wrong and do it. And then that's truly very difficult for people to do.
It is, especially for people who are so used to being brought up as to, no one says no to my requests as a child, and everybody takes the load of Mike's mistakes that I've done. So I can never accept that I am wrong. I'm never wrong. And that's right. The type of mentality that brings on into adulthood. So I know that you said, one of the things that you dislike is when someone does not take on stating that they have made a mistake or a failure. And that was one of the questions I wanted to roll into. Do you have an example of yourself having a moment where there was a mistake or failure that you experienced and that you learned from it?
Well, yeah. And I tried to, and it kind of has to do with my first marriage. I got divorced, right? And I made some mistakes during the marriage that nothing really bad mistakes, but I didn't take the responsibility of a love and nurturing that I should have, because I worked so much, and I was driven by succeeding. My wife and I were a little bit different. My ex-wife and I were a little bit different, but I tried everything I could to make it work, and then eventually I couldn't. And so I decided that it was best for us to go our separate ways. And I did some stupid things when I did that. I mean, nothing like adultery or anything like that. But I learned from that, and it was painful. And it was painful living in a relationship that wasn't going to work out. I knew it, but I tried all I could. We were just different people, and it was a painful mistake. And I realized that I needed to move on for both her sake and my sake. So going through a divorce is one of the most painful things you can go through. And I should have lived up to some of the expectations that I should have done. I took care of my kids and everything, but there were some things that I'll be honest with you, I tried to cover up some money that I had, and that was wrong. But when people go through divorce, they do some stupid things. That's when a guy told me, he said, "You're right." And I did a few things like that were stupid. But you learn from that. And then any time that something comes, it's really funny, because now that I've learned from that, when I think of something that maybe I want to get out of, then what I'll do is I'll get this uneasy feeling that if I do something that I think is wrong, it gives me a very uneasy feeling. And I said, no, that's not the way to do it. You got to do what's right. And I've done things that way, and you just learn. Look, I'm 64 years old. I've learned a heck of a lot in all my lifetime experience, both a business and a personal standpoint. I've learned a heck of a lot from a lot of other people, what to do and what not to do. Now, at my age, I wish I had done this and learned this a lot earlier, but now I'm trying to get that message out to everybody else. Just look, if you do the right thing, you have a conscience, you go forward. And at the end of the day, I want people to know that if, when I come to my funeral, when I'm there, it says, he was a good guy. He did the right thing. He helped so many people. That's what my legacy is. And of course, the book is one aspect of getting there.
It's been an honor to have you here because, that's something that you have come across. The legacy that you are bringing is so forward and so direct, and it's positive. I love the positive enforcement that you're providing for other people to know that you've gone through that strife, and you want everybody else to say, hey, you know what? Enough of this, going back 2 steps and trying to figure things out. I got something that's even better. I got a book that explains exactly that I've gone through or you've gone through. So this is awesome to have you here as a guest. And so are there any resources that really helped you on your journey?
Well, I can't pinpoint one, but there's several resources. I think the resource that I had in my dad and helping me get to where I am today, I think education is paramount for any and everybody to succeed. I wish we had a system that allowed everybody to get educated as well as I did and make sure kids stay in school, what the requirements are. Those are resources. My work experience with IBM, my work experience with failing in some things and also succeeding in other things. And I've also learned that the best way to really bring people up is to thank them for what they did for you in a small way, simple way of sending them a handwritten note saying, hey, you really meant a lot to me. I'm here where I am today, just thanking people. The art of, I call the attitude of gratitude is just so important because it makes people feel good. And what I've learned throughout my years is the resource of gratitude and being thankful for everything you have, because you're not here today without people supporting you along the way. And my family has been a big support and resource for me. My kids have been a resource. They've taught me a lot. It's all the experiences and the resources along the way that it can't really pinpoint one thing, but all those in conglomerate help to get you where you are today and help to be the person you are today. And I think I'm getting better and better at this. I will tell you, Jasmine, one thing that has spurred me on to continue to do this. I gave my book to a friend of mine. He's a millennial. He bought the book, gave it to his mom. They both read it, and then they came together and talked about the book. And with the comment, and it's in one of my testimonials in the back of the book, the comment was, after my mom and I read the book, we sat down together and we talked about it. Now we're as close as we've ever been. And that makes, one person at a time, touching one, encouraging them, helping them get to the next level, helping them succeed, help them be happy is what makes it all rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, and I was looking at the back there. It says the gentleman here, don't want to butcher the last name. Is it Chris Kassan? Chris Kassan. Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. I love.
And he's been a good friend. He continues to be a good friend. I help him out in a lot of different things, and so he's a good friend.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And some of the things that technology has diluted us is our courtesy in the way that we respect each other, because we're so used to doing the emojis after every sentence. It doesn't have the same feeling. I think you even mentioned that, in your book, where they're like after every statement, like LOL, JK,
right.
Whatever. So, but the thing is, Princess Di, because I lived in England, so Princess Di was one of the ones I think you were mentioning about the thank you letters and
yep.
each and every note of thank you. It just goes a long way, and it's almost like you feel like you give so much satisfaction giving out that to someone else. It's almost like you feel like you're paying it forward, and that same positive energy is brought to the next person, and it's a pay it forward kind of a mentality. I love it. And right now, like for myself, for example, we're about a year old startup company. We
Right.
established in 2020 of July, and we are at a crossroad on whether we should give them a $50 Amazon or a $100 Amazon. I'm like, you know what? It's $100. I don't know, hands down. If we can do it,
Right.
we can do it. It's not, well, based on the revenue. Like, yeah, I think you even mentioned on there, it's based on the kindness of is saying that we appreciate the persons that are even they're working without an actual salary because we haven't had the proper funds for our company. A little bit goes a long way. And I am so honored to have you explain us all here, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. I tell, I moderate CEO roundtables, so I'm dealing with people who run companies, and I tell these people, look, as a company, if I'm running a company, I don't really care about revenue. And they look at me like, what do you mean? You don't care about revenue? I said, no, I don't. I said, well, what do you care about? I said, I care about taking care of the customers. And if I take care of the customers first, the revenue is going to come. And they look at me like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. And I take care of my customers because I show them over and above something that they don't expect that I'm going to provide to them. And guess what? They remember that more than anything else. It's the little things that people remember over time. And those little things make a huge difference in the satisfaction of your clients and your customers and your friends and your family, all of that. Mm-hmm. So there's a different perspective in how you look at things from a CEO perspective and how it's important. And I get people say, look, all you got to do as a company is just give a damn about your customers and also take care of your employees first. Because if you take care of your employees, they're going to take care of your customers. Yes. And that's what's important.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So now that the listeners get a little taste, and I know they want to have more of a savory idea of your book, what will be the website that they will be able to go to and to learn more about you through your website?
Yeah, if they want to learn, they can go to my website for my book. It's called giveadamnbook.com. And I have a bio up there. They can order the book on there. They can also order it from Amazon.com. If anybody wants to get an Audible version of it, I actually did the Audible version myself. So they can go to Amazon and do the Audible and download that. And they can learn more about what my initiatives are and what I'm trying to do. I'd love for people to go to the giveadamnbook.com and join what I call my movement. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get everybody to take what I call the Global Accountability Pledge. And that pledge is I'm going to do the right thing. I'll take responsibility. There's like 5 different criteria that says I'll do this, I'll do that, and sign up. If you sign up, then, right now we've got a couple thousand people who are just kind of starting this to all work together to create an initiative that, we can go to Congress or go somewhere and say, hey, we got 5 million that all pledged to take this. You need to do the same thing. It's funny because I created a congressional accountability pledge. I sent it to the 535 people in Congress and the president. This was about a year ago. And you know how many people responded? 0. Wow. Nobody responded because it says I'll do the right thing and all these kind of things. Nobody. The only thing they did is they add me to their email, their newsletter. I didn't ask to be added, but they added me to anyway. But anyway, we need to really. It starts at the top, and filters its way down. And so we don't have I don't think the leadership over the last several years to really filter down that character and moral attitude. It's much better now than it used to be, but it's just something I'm trying to get people to change their mindset, because if they do it, they have less stress and all the other things that go along with it.
Yeah, but we're a whole step ahead of where we were a year ago.
I know.
So
no doubt.
Moving forward. Yes, absolutely. Well, it's been an honor. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been such a pleasure to read your book. So if anybody wants to check it out on his website, it is actually called Give a Damn. Hopefully you can probably actually see it in my shirt there. Yep. There you go. Yeah. And I love that you personally autographed it for me.
Yeah, I'm happy to anybody. They can go to and send me an email if they want. They can order a book through me directly, and then I will sign it and send it to them. They'll just have to pay for shipping, and the book's only $15.99. Shipping's a couple bucks, and I'll email them. Just email me at mlewis@giveadamnbook.com. giveadamnbook.com, say, I want to order your book. I'll take care of it. I'll sign it, send it to them.
Yeah, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Me.
It's funny because I also have this other thing. I forgot to show this to you, but this is I think you got one of these too, right? Did you get one of these bands?
Yeah, I do.
So it's a band that I wear because we need to be constantly reminded how important it is. So if you get this band and you're not sure what the answer is, just go look at the band and you'll find out what the answer is. Yeah, it'll tell you.
Exactly.
So these that you get a band with this too. It's an extra kind of Benny for when I send in people order books. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been terrific. I really appreciate it. I'm glad too. Thank you so much and have a wonderful weekend. I'll stay in touch with you, sir. Yes, please do. I'll look forward to it. Absolutely. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Noise Palooza Zion podcast. If you yourself is a small business owner, entrepreneur, musician, or artist, or liked what you heard, please share and follow. I am on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, or contact me at www.jasminecastillovoice.com and stay tuned for the next upcoming episode.